Russia and the U.S. are about to face off in Syria as yet again another proxy war, well, an old proxy war, is resurfacing. It's always been there, but it's just been out of the limelight for a while now. This is an interview with John Kerry, Secretary of State and CNN International. Scrolling down quite a bit through their questions. Secretary Kerry says here, after being asked how are they going to defeat ISIS, well, it does need to be defeated, and it has made that more clear, putting its exclamation point on that reality, which we all knew anyway. But in the last days, with the beheading of the professor who guarded the antiquities, as well as with the destruction of the antiquities, and its own threats and movements within the region, this is a very dangerous group, and we need to. We need to increase the pressure on them. And we are talking about very specific ways to do that with other countries in the region. You are correct. There will need to be people on the ground. I'm convinced there will be at the appropriate moment. And I believe that pressure will increase and is increasing even as we're talking at this very moment in many different ways. Okay, so they're going to put troops on the ground, according to Secretary Kerry. Now, if we go to here, check this out. Oh wait, let me go back here, I apologize. This was posted on September 2nd, 2015, and this was posted on September 1st. Russia puts boots on the ground in Syria. The next day, they're talking about putting boots on the ground in Syria. The U.S. is talking about putting boots on the ground in Syria. The numbers are small, but Moscow may be looking at its own version of mission creep in the treacherous Middle East. The end of summer. It means back-to-school shopping, tearfully ended beach-born romances, Labor Day barbecues, and it would seem the increased likelihood of new Russian adventurism. As if Moscow weren't satisfied with the game in Ukraine, the last month has seen a flurry of reports about its ever-expanding military involvement in Syria. One report has even alleged that Russian pilots are gearing up to fly missions alongside the Syrian Air Force, dropping bombs not just on ISIS but on anti-Assad rebels who may or may not be aligned with the United States or its regional allies. That right there is a confrontation. That right there is going to potentially lead to a, instead of a, what was it called? Ukraine, the Ukrainian rebels, which were backed by Russia, and then Ukraine, which was backed by the U.S., we might actually be looking at the U.S. versus Russia beginning in Syria. One report has even alleged that Russian pilots... Oh, I just read that one. I apologize. Several sources consulted for this story said the Pentagon is being unusually cagey about Russia's reinvigorated role in Syria. A former U.S. military officer told the Daily Beast, "I'm being told things like, we really can't talk about this. That indicates to me that there's some truth to these allegations." Ground war in Syria, huh? Well, that's pretty interesting because yesterday we reported that 5 Chinese Navy ships are operating in Bering Sea off of Alaska. So we have China to the west, and you'll never guess who's on the east. Russia. The U.S. is shadowing Russian ship in Atlantic near nuclear submarine areas. U.S. intelligence ships, aircraft, and satellites are closely watching a Russian military vessel in the Atlantic that has been sailing near a U.S. nuclear missile submarine base and underwater transit routes, according to Pentagon officials. The Russian research ship Yantar has been tracked from the northern Atlantic near Canada since late August as it makes its way south toward Cuba. Russia's in the east and China's in the west. So what does the U.S. do? I reported on this yesterday on the website, and I think a lot of people saw it, but I don't think enough people did. TCAS, ADS-B, unreliable on East Coast during September. What do these mean? ADS-B surveillance in some TCAS operations in the airspace over Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida might become unreliable as of September 2nd at 1 a.m. EDT, according to a NOTAM the FAA issued. On September 1st, the outages are due to events the agency labeled as late notice from the Department of Defense of military exercises. NBAA voiced its concern to the FAA that these sort of significant impact tests need much more notice to operators in the national airspace system. The outages are scheduled to last until October 1st at midnight. In addition to the areas of concern noted in domestic airspace, the FAA has said the outages might well extend up to 200 nm offshore. Now my question is, how long is it going to take this vessel here to get to Cuba? Just a question. The agency said one outage symptom could be the tracks of nearby aircraft first appearing close to the primary aircraft that immediately switched to a traffic alert resolution alert status on TCAS. Pilots should maintain a heightened watch on the airspace around them and report any incidents of nearby aircraft they believe should have generated alerts but did not. Okay. And then, I mean, all I can do is look between them and just say, wow. It's pretty interesting what's going on, though, isn't it? And then you have this just to tie it all off, and then I guess we're going back to Syria with boots on the ground, finally. But it's all because of Russia. The ice war cometh. I'm working on an article about that right now. Stay tuned for that. Anyways, that is all the news I've got. I want to thank you all for watching. God bless and carry on.